The road to the Plane of Fear passed through some familiar places. It was a little bit further than the ruins of Guk. So Lagar began his journey by drinking a Blood of the Wolf potion to make him run faster. The desert of Ro at night felt like a peaceful place, especially when moving through it, far from the creatures that roam the sands. The ocean winds blowing inland made the temperatures mild enough to create a pleasant hiking experience. At the edge of the desert, near the Inuthul swamp, some low-level orc camps could be seen scattered around the sands. And when Lagar reached the swamp, the cool breeze of the ocean gave way to the putrid odor particular to that region. The monk had been here before, when he was on his way to Guk. But now he will travel south a bit further. On Firot, he encountered Lizardman for the first time. He was told somewhere around that forest was the temple of Cazic-Thule, his god. But that building was not made by Ixers, but by those tiny lizardmen. Maybe Ixers evolved from them? They had the same god after all. At the edge of the forest, Lagar spotted a huge mountain. He couldn't go any further. Or could he? On the base of the mountain, next to a dead tree, there was an invisible wall that led him closer to the Plane of Fear. An intricate maze full of specters was the last barrier he needed to overcome. Lagar only realized he was traveling all the time alone when he saw a ranger from his guild taking care of a specter. As he passed by him, silence fell like a cloak around the monk. All he could hear now was his own footsteps. He feared he would be trapped in that maze. It was like he was miles away from anyone else. Until, of course, after another invisible wall, sound burst through him like lightning. He turned the corner and found most of his guild already waiting to raid the Plane of Fear. The majestic portal to Cazic-Thule's domain was terrifying. Inside the Plane of Fear, it was worse. The raid was told to move to the east wall as fast as possible. The denizens of Fear were already coming for them. The first of the notable ones was the Dracolich, a fearsome skeletal dragon. The raid was fighting him while holding off the lesser fiends. Lagar punched and kicked the old bones of the dragon, but soon was overcome with an unsurmountable feeling. Fear. Most of the raid ran away in fear, but as soon as they regained their confidence, they returned to finish off the Dracolich. To have a chance against Cazic-Thule, they would need to clear all of the Plane of Fear. So the raid moved south and continued battling shiverbacks, boogeymen, and other fear denizens. Besides the fiends, there were 3 golems that needed to be taken care of as well. The first one was Fright. He used Death Touch on an unnamed hero of the guild, but was soon dead as well. He dropped a part of the warrior epic. The journey into Fear continued. They fought Gorgons, more boogeymen, and the second golem, Dread. Another easy kill. The raid was getting closer to Cazic-Thule. They gathered near an abandoned house and fought some glare lords, terrifying sentient eyes. The last of the golems' terror was pulled to the raid. They fought bravely and once again prevailed. He dropped another ball of ever-living golem. The warriors in the guild were happy they were getting their epic parts. Everyone was told to move closer to the ring of fire that surrounded a temple-like structure which housed Cazic-Thule himself. Lagar ran northeast with the raid. The last of the denizens of fear were to be cleared right there, including some phoboplasms, a strange jelly creature with bones of their fallen enemies visibly inside it. In a rare moment of calmness, Lagar stared at the firewall in the distance, wondering the reason he was going to fight his own god. Before the fight though, Lagar asked Suvus for a shiverback hide gloves that had dropped earlier that night. Since he was a warrior, he had no use for it, so he gladly gave Lagar the gloves. Maybe that's the reason he was fighting his god? More and better loot? Anyway, Lagar saw Cazic-Thule for the first time in his life. He was sometimes skeptical of his existence, to be fair, but not anymore. Not as he was right before his own eyes. Although a bit hesitant at first, Lagar soon joined the fight, only to be thrown at the firewall. "Even you, Lagar?" asked the god angrily. "You worship me. You need to bow before me and not help the infidels slay me." "But they are my guild. I am obliged to attend every raid night," replied Lagar. "Curse you, puny lizard!" Lagar was once again knocked back. He rushed to the aid of his guild, and after a few more minutes, the god of fear was finally down. In the end, Lagar did bow to him. An uplifting tune ringed loudly inside Lagar's ears. The raid was teleported to Surefall Glade after the conquest of fear. It was the first time Lagar was there. It is a quiet, sparsely populated city next to Kinos Hills, full of druids and rangers. Lagar followed Floppet, another Ixen monk, as he had no idea where to go. He knew they were going for Lady Vox next, but she was deep inside Permafrost Keep, so they needed to walk through unknown hostile regions to get to her. Carved into one of the mountains that surrounded Kinos Hills was the entrance to Blackburrow, a Nose city. The Nose were at war with the humans of Kinos for so long that no one knew why anymore. Ixers were hated by both anyway. Lagar waited for Floppet to take the lead while inside Blackburrow. He didn't know he was being followed. Lagar did not want to look like a complete noob, so he needed to stay close to not miss any turn, like he almost missed there. After leaving Blackburrow, the air turned cold fast. Lagar had reached the Everfrost Peaks. Home to the barbarians, this land of eternal snow housed the Permafrost Keep, on its eastern edge. Inside the keep, Lady Vox awaited for those who would be foolish enough to challenge her. The raid force was running through the icy plains like moths to the flames. Their morale was high as they had bested Cazic-Thule himself. How would they fare against the Lady of Ice? After what felt like an endless winter, Lagar saw the entrance to Permafrost Keep. The raid was already gathered outside. Soon they would face Lady Vox. First, they had to deal with some ice giants. Then, they had to still deal with the ice giants, plus some spiders while fighting Lady Vox. Half of Lagar's group was dead in the beginning of the fight. He thought maybe this would be worse than Lord Nagafen the other day. Lagar got feared along with some other people and started to walk funnily. The ground was slippery and he had a tough time getting back to the fight. Maybe a levitation spell would work wonders here. On his way back, corpses of dead guild members did not help at all. Lagar was finally striking back, until he got feared once again. He tried moving like a nice skater this time. He noticed another group member down and his health slowly deteriorating. He was getting heals, but damage kept on coming. In the end, even with the constant back and forth between attacking and getting feared on a slippery terrain, Lagar was alive when they finally defeated the Dragon Queen of Ice. Woof, it was a close one for him. The last target of the night would be another dragon.
Go, go, go.
As the raid leader was speaking words of encouragement, Lagar saw himself in the familiar jungles of Kunark, more specifically the Emerald Jungle. Lagar had heard a lot of stories about Severilous, the poison dragon that lurks in the northern part of the jungle. As he was growing up, tales about lost Ixers trying to cross the Emerald Jungle were almost always connected to Severilous. Waiting there, in the dark, even with a force of 72 people, and even in that hot, humid climate, chilled Lagar's bones. Lagar was floating above the raid when he saw Severilous approaching. He backed off to get a better view of the dragon. He would wait a bit before engaging. But before he could move, he got feared into Severilous and not away from him. Well, the fight was on. As soon as the fear wore off, finally Lagar was fighting the mighty Severilous. How many seconds before the next fear? When he got feared again, he stumbled upon a tree and thought he would not move so far from the dragon this time, but it was just a visual glitch. Just like his guildmates, Lagar would not be deterred by fear and would come back to fight once he got back to his senses. Before the next fear, Lagar was stunned. He was getting tired of running back and forth. He had already conquered the plane of fear, and even Cazic-Thule, his own god, Lord of Fear, early in that same night. Severilous would be taken down, for all the Ixers who lost their lives at the fangs of the poisoned dragon, for his guild, and for himself. As Severilous fell, the guild already had new targets in mind. Fadedar and Plane of Sky. Stay tuned for more episodes of Lagar and his friends. Like and subscribe to keep following his journey. Thank you for watching, and until next time.